If you're on Social Security disability insurance and you want to work, you can. But you need to know how the earnings limit for 2026 works so that you can protect your benefits. Once you're on SSDI, there's a monthly earnings limit that you encounter. If you exceed it, it triggers what the SSA calls a trial work period. I'm Beverly Harzog, and I'm going to explain that next. The trial work period is designed to let you test your ability to work for 9 months, but that's cumulative, not consecutive. The earnings limit is $1,210 during this time. If you've been on SSDI for 1 month and earned $1,000, well, that doesn't count towards one of the 9 months. But in the next month, let's say you make $1,300. Well, that will count as one of the 9 months in the trial work period because you made over the limit. You have a period of 5 years to accumulate 9 months. But once you trigger that 9th month, you go into the very next phase. Now, there is an exception. If you're self-employed and you work more than 80 hours in a month, that's considered one of your TWP months. I recommend calling the SSA or asking an attorney about your situation if you're self-employed, because this could get so complicated. And unfortunately, the SSA makes it even more complicated than they need to. So in the next phase, it's the extended period of eligibility, and the earnings limit changes for what's called substantial gainful activity. The extended period of eligibility, EPE, is 3 years. During this time, you would become ineligible for SSDI benefits if you engaged in substantial gainful activity, SGA. The limits are based on 2 categories, nonblind and blind. These 2026 earning limits are monthly, and it's based on your gross income. If you have a non-blind disability, the limit is $1,690. The earnings limit for blind individuals is higher than for those with a non-blind disability. If you're blind, the limit is $2,830. If you exceed these limits, you've engaged in what the SSA likes to call substantial gainful activity. And we can break that down into 2 parts. The SSA considers your work activity and earnings to be substantial if it involves a lot of physical or mental work or a combination of both of those things. Your work is considered gainful if you do it for pay or profit. Now, there's a way to offset your income if you have exceeded the monthly limit. Impairment-related work expenses includes things like transportation, equipment, if you needed support or subsidized working conditions. For example, extra time to do your job, maybe you need assistance, or some other type of support due to your disability. I have an example of how that works. Brad is on SSDI and has a non-blind disability and is in the 3-year EPE phase and earns $1,800 a month. Let's say Brad has the second type of deduction and needs about 20% longer to do his job. This isn't an expense per se, but it doesn't really represent what he earned according to the SSA. So he's allowed to deduct 20% from his earnings to allow for that. And in this example, it's $1,800 times 20%, and that equals $360. So Brad's earnings are now $1,440. He passes the SGA test by $250. But what if he gets a raise? Now his gross pay is $2,200. And if we take 20% of that, we get $440. So the IRWE changes to that. The SGA test shows he is over the limit by $70. So if you're in the non-blind category and you make above the limit in any month, you'll be ineligible for SSDI. But they'll give you a 3-month grace period. You get the month you went over, and then 2 more months before it stopped. But it's still not over. If you're still within the 3-year EPE reentitlement phase and your earnings fall below the SGA in a month, the SSA can restart your benefits without a new application. But what if you return to work and then your disability returns? Well, It's still not over. If you've been working, but then your disability returns within 5 years of having your SSDI cut off, the Social Security Administration can do an expedited reinstatement of benefits, but only if it's related to the initial reason that you got approved for SSDI benefits. So keep that in mind. If so, you won't have to apply again and wait for approval. And I know that is a big deal. So I hope that works out. And if you're still with me, thank you so much for your patience. I'm impressed. It's a lot of stuff. Just a few more reminders for success. This is important. You must report activity to the SSA, and you can do that through your My Social Security account. But there are other options too. So this is a complex topic, and there are so many exceptions to the rules, and there are so many rules. So it's so easy to make a wrong turn. If you have any questions about your own unique circumstances, I urge you to contact the SSA and ask. There's also the Ticket to Work program, which makes benefits counselors available to you through the Social Security Administration. And you'll find a link to that program in the description below. If you have any other questions, comments that I can help you with, please leave a comment below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.